nothing quite like a Sunday at the ballpark. The sun has come out. It's already almost 60 degrees. A gorgeous day to be inside T-Mobile Park. The final game of this four-game series as the Mariners continue to play host to the Athletics. An Oakland native, Bryan Woo, is up on the mound making his season debut today. Welcome inside. Aaron Goldfield alongside Ryan Rowland-Smith. We're going to talk about Woo in a little bit. We're all excited to see what he has to offer in 2025. But let's look back at the last 3 nights up on the mound for the Mariners, Ryan, the rotation in particular, our key stats. I think most importantly here, each starter has kept the Mariners in the game no more than 3 runs allowed.
Yeah, well, absolutely. 175 batting average against. You mentioned the fact that they've limited the damage, really just the one long ball, the one mistake from each guy. Look, Logan Gilbert was so dominant that first night. Luis Castillo and Bryce Miller, a couple tough innings for them, higher stress innings, but just keeping him in the game. It's just now it comes down to just getting some run support.
Well, the runs have been a problem so far in this series. The Mariners winning game 1, losing the last 2. They have had opportunities, Ryan, with runners in scoring position. They simply have not been able to cash in.
Yeah, look, plenty of base runners, which is good to see, right? Some good at-bats. Number 1 in the American League when it comes to drawing 16 walks already in this first series. But just getting that big hit, getting that finishing blow. We saw Beto last night for the Athletics, who was, kind of teetering and having that blow-up inning. It just didn't happen. With Julio, JP, 3 plate appearances each to get something done. Really, Polanco only doing the damage and Dylan Moore, and that's it. So got to get it done with runners in scoring position today.
Mariners just 2 for 19 with runners in scoring position for the first 3 games. Looking to turn that around this afternoon with Bryan Woo up on the mound. Excited to watch him. We will talk about Woo and today's pitching matchup when we come back.
The Silverado Trail Boss. And a little work.
Today's Western Washington Toyota Dealers pitching matchup. J.P. Sears, a workhorse the last couple of years, going for Oakland. Bryan Woo getting set to pitch for the first time this year, Hyphen.
Yeah, and look, sparkling numbers, just the 22 starts, trying to get him that 6 month, 30+ starts out of him. Dealt with some injuries last year, but man, was he good. Look at those numbers against the Athletics.
Yeah, they are microscopic. It is amazing. In 6 career starts, the Mariners are 6-0 when Wu faces the Athletics, and an ERA that it's almost about half a run. He has just been dynamite against his boyhood team. Ryan Bliss has been a nice storyline the first few days. He's played in a couple of games. He will get the start today at second base, and we will hear from Ryan Bliss with Jen Mueller right before Ryan takes the field. First pitch around the corner on Root Sports.
If you like us.
Hearing the fans cheer you on as you're taking out there is really cool.
Is there a routine or something that you do every time you take the field?
For me, it's just making sure I breathe, get into my body, and don't let the fans and don't let the loud noises get to you, but it's all good.
Is this what you dreamed of as a kid, taking the field?
Yeah, this is everything that I dreamed of. If anything, it's exceeding some limits that I didn't know that I could get to here, but I'm loving being a big leaguer, and I'm loving being a Seattle Mariner.
Where do you look in the fans first?
Probably look for my family, see where they are in the section back there. A little bit of comforting, but just give it a good browse to see who's out here.
How much time do you spend looking at fans during the game? Or are you so locked in that you just couldn't even see?
You know, sometimes you get a couple fan interactions, depending on how the game goes. You know, it's baseball, so a lot of downtime, but definitely have some fun with the fans out here.
Yeah, I think J.P. Crawford's having some fun with you right now. Does he get a little payback at any point?
You know, he's OG, so I gotta let this happen. But you know, maybe down the line I'll give him something.
How do you know when it's time to actually take the field?
Whenever B. Wu heads out there and the pitcher and the catcher go out, that's when we head out.
You got Victor Robles over here that's getting ready, and I'm a little afraid of what Julio's about to do.
I'm not too sure.
Do you feel like, I was just gonna say, do you want to turn your back and see what happens next?
I don't want to turn my back, but it depends on what's going on. I feel like it's going to be something crazy behind me. Nope, there it is right there. Yeah.
I do feel like it is about to be something crazy. When Bryan Woo was on the mound, what do you have to be prepared for with his style of pitching?
Yeah, you know he's going to fill the zone up. You know he's going to throw strikes. He's going to throw that fastball, and guys are going to be on it. So you're going to be a lot of balls in play, so just got to make the plays behind him.
Your level of concentration right now is pretty amazing given what's going on. Now you are going to be the person who is about to lead everybody out. I think you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go in.
What an easy guy to cheer for.
Yes.
Ryan Bliss made his major league debut last year, went to spring training this year competing for a spot on that opening day roster. He made the roster. He was the opening day second baseman and now signing an autograph for Sydney out there at second base. It is a Little League day here at T-Mobile Park, and I don't know if Ryan Bliss has ever had a bad day, Ryan.
I know. I mean, you mentioned it's so easy to root for, that's for sure. But in that clubhouse, man, he is so easy just to approach and talk and then dive deep, too, on some of the mental side of the game. I remember talking to him when he first came up, getting to the big leagues, and now getting a chance to stick around here as the second baseman for the Mariners.
Beautiful day here inside T-Mobile Park. The roof is open, the sun is out, and Bryan Woo is up on the mound coming off a magnificent season last year.
Yeah, he was so good. Obviously got a late start to the season, so this is special for him. The fact that he's opening up the season on the roster as an active member of this rotation, but just so good. 70% plus on that fastball usage. He pitches up in the strike zone a ton. Secondary pitches, worked on him a little bit during spring training, but like, hey, look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Stick with that fastball and attack the strike zone like he has been.
Well, he has had just video game-like numbers against this Athletics team in recent years, and that includes some of the guys in the lineup here today for manager Mark Kotsay. Top of the order is the same as usual. That means Lawrence Butler leads things off. Woo has only given up 1 home run in 6 starts to the Athletics, and the man to hit that, of course, not a surprise, Brent Rooker. The A's have been bashing home runs. They've hit 6 of them over the first 3 games of this series. And Duhar is batting cleanup today. He's up in the order in left field. Meanwhile, Wilson also up. The 22-year-old shortstop, their top prospect, has been batting 9th. He's in the number 6 spot today. And a change behind home plate. Langeliers gets the day off, so Johnny Pereda will do the catching to make his season debut. Cal Raleigh catching today, day game after night game. And a lot of anticipation for Bryan Woo after his 22 starts last year and a sparkling ERA. He takes a big deep breath to get his season going. Butler fouls away a first pitch, not a surprise, a fastball.
Right. And in the strike zone too. I mean, crazy numbers on first pitch strikes. 72.9%. It's the highest in the history since they started tracking that number.
High target set from Cal. This is put in play. Kind of a tough play here as Moore goes out, and instead it's Arozarena who makes the catch. Much easier play for him. How about the rest of that Mariners defense? Got a sneak peek of it there. The outfield is the standard. Arozarena, Julio, and Robles. Defensively, Moore gets to start at third. Polanco gets a day off. He's played the first 3 games coming off off-season knee surgery. Donovan Solano is at first base today. 2 pitches and 1 away. Here is Brent Rooker. This finds Ryan Bliss. I tell you what, nobody has had more action in the field than Ryan Bliss, and he hasn't even played every game of this series.
Yeah, he got that opening day start. He was in the lineup day after making the team, essentially having a really good spring. Here you go. All kinds of action out there at second base. You see this A's lineup swinging early, swinging often against Bryan Woo, knowing he's going to fill that strike zone up.
2 up and 2 down. J.J. Bleday, the batter, center fielder. He goes after the first pitch, and you know, sometimes it works out great when you, oh, this is airmailed. J.P. Crawford, a rare throwing blunder, and that will send Bleday into second base. So it looked like a 4-pitch inning for Bryan Woo, but we'll continue.
Yeah, he spoke a little too soon. Aaron looked like Bryan Woo barely breaking a sweat. His first inning of 2025. I see JP just not setting those feet underneath him.
So an early error. And Duhar, the batter, now 2 outs and a man in scoring position. Tell you what, offensively, that's a close pitch, but it's ruled a ball. Offensively, the A's have had kind of the best of both worlds. They've hit 6 homers in 3 games. They've had the power, and they've also been terrific with runners in scoring position. They're 7 for 15 so far. They've had some big hits and some timely hits. JP, another chance over to first base, and of course this time he gets it right on the money. Just 2 additional pitches for Bryan Woo. Doesn't break a sweat. We go to the bottom of the first. Mariners coming up. Hitters in the lineup here today for manager Dan Wilson. Top four the same as usual. Robles, Julio, Cal Raleigh, and Arozarena. Mitch Garver does the DHing today with the lefty J.P. Sears up on the mound. We see Solano at first base. Meanwhile, Dylan Moore gets the nod over at third with Polanco getting a breather. Crawford the only left-handed hitter in the lineup to face J.P. Sears. First pitch of the season from Sears is sailed away foul. Well, the Mariners winning in game one with those dramatic 8th inning home runs. They were shut out in game two, and last night mustered just a pair of runs. The opportunities were there last night for the Mariners. They finished 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. So the glass half full look at last night, Ryan, is that they created chances for themselves. They just could not cash in. And obviously, if you have 10 at-bats every single night with a man at second or third, you feel pretty good about where the season's going to go. But it did not work out last night.
Yeah, I think as the game went on, last night, I mean, Randy Arozarena, loaded bases, hits that scorcher back up the middle. Muncy making that play. And that frustration slowly starts to set in as the game went on. It just got tougher and tougher, you felt like, with runners in scoring position. But they had some opportunities, especially against Beto, who did not have the best command, especially that first time through the lineup.
Mariners drew 6 walks last night. They were hit by a couple of pitches as well, but couldn't cash in. As the count evens on Victor Robles, leading things off. Now, Sears has been a workhorse in recent years. He's had back-to-back 32 start seasons. Former 11th round draft pick by the Mariners, in fact.
Yeah, I think the word gets thrown around: consistent, solid. 4.3 ERA, 32 starts, like you mentioned. And he was really good down the stretch. His last start was here in Seattle. Last 11 starts, 3.69 ERA, so he got stronger as the year went on.
It's a tough play. Sears has no chance, even if he gloved that. Victor Robles, a swinging bunt base hit, and the table is set in front of Julio.
And again, Aaron, base runners, and base runners early for the Seattle Mariners. And for J.P. Sears, look, he got a front row seat to Jeffrey Springs a couple nights ago in that changeup, that fastball changeup combination. They just handcuffed the Mariners offense. 9 strikeouts for Springs. J.P. Sears doesn't have the same quality of changeup against all these righties in that lineup. You'll probably see him get a fastball changeup combination throughout this game.
Fastball over the plate, fouled away. You look at the last 2 years from J.P. Sears, and he has given up more home runs than anyone and has also hit more batters than anyone. Not a great combination. High fly ball the opposite way, right center field. Butler with space. 1 out.
Now, we talked about the changeup usage against all these righties. There's 8 of them in the lineup. He's going to be around that 24% mark with that changeup. He goes that pitch roughly around 18-19% with 2 strikes, but you can see it's just that fastball and that little breaking ball to get into good counts.
That changeup getting knocked around a little bit last year, almost a 300 average against it. Statcast powered by Google Cloud. A good look at his arsenal. Cal Raleigh, the batter. 1 out, 1 on. Ruled a strike, and Cal saying, hey, I better get that when I'm behind the plate then too. Coming off the best season by a Mariners catcher in franchise history. In fact, you can say that about Cal Raleigh the last 2 years. Popped up. Soderstrom with those sunglasses on by the coach's box. Two down.
As you get a better look at J.P. Sears, especially last season, look, 4.38 ERA, but the 180 innings, the 32 starts. By the way, first time in consecutive years. You mentioned, Aaron, the last couple years for J.P. Sears, 30+ starts since Gio Gonzalez. back when I was
Boy, how about that?
pitching. Yeah. I mean, they've had so much turnover, especially in that rotation, a lot of young pitchers.
Randy takes just low. I mean, you saw the strikeout right there. It's below league average.
Right.
The ERAs may be higher than some might want, but he does give you innings. He is a workhorse in the back of that rotation. There's certainly value in what Sears gives the Athletics. Has been very available the last 2 years. On the edge, looks like that pitch away from a righty might be open for business in this one so far. At least that's what it looks like early on. If Randy can reach, Mitch Garver's on deck. And now he's safe. Robles was leaning the wrong way and just got back in the nick of time.
Now we've seen the Mariners be really aggressive on the bases, and JP, kind of falling into that pattern. Same look, same time to home. Decent move over there.
Ball and 2 strikes on Arozarena. Well, we know this. The Mariners are trying to run a little bit more this year. Dan Wilson even talked about that earlier today. And they've started out perfect on the base paths, 5 for 5. Arozarena strikes out. Robles stranded at first base. After an inning, we're scoreless. For Bryan Woo that we saw last year, Ryan. A lot of fastballs.
Yeah, heavy usage of the fastball. You see kind of mixing that sinker a little bit more last year. A big reason for that too, we talked about being over 70% usage of that. He spent so much time ahead in the count. I mean, literally threw double the amount of pitches when he's ahead in the count. And that's a big reason right there, because he's first pitch strike percentage. We talked about that in the first inning. And the secondary pitches, which are plus, but a situation at some point in 2025, especially in your 30+ starts, you're going to have your time where you slip behind in the count. That's for sure. But he just does such a good job of being in good counts, and then he can just expose that hole at the top of the strike zone hitters have against him.
Tyler Soderstrom leads things off for the A's. Much like Bryce Miller last year, we saw this incredible improvement for Bryan Woo against lefties. The difference is for Bryce, he added a clear weapon against lefties, the splitter. Woo, 2 years ago, went into the offseason and there was not a plan to add a new pitch, and he did not add anything different.
Yeah.
And yet he was so much better against lefties. Was it just the way that he was using some of his pitches?
Yeah, I think it was interesting, and I spoke to Pete Woodworth about this. 2023 lefties hit 280 against him, and there was a point in 23 where it's like, okay, listen, young pitcher coming up, trying to figure all this out and evolve, and they tried to implement that changeup as a weapon. Obviously, Bryce Miller got the split, and for Wu, it was about the changeup. But then you went into 2024, you're thinking, okay, here we go. There's going to be this big uptick in changeup usage, but there really wasn't. I think he was just way more consistent of sticking with the weapons he's got. And you see Soderstrom, who is so dangerous at the top of the strike zone. And you see, Cal setting up inside, but all of a sudden lefties, the changeup usage went up 15%, but they're hitting 222. And again, a big reason was just being a little bit more confident with the weapons he already had.
Here comes a 3-2. That just misses outside. A very rare walk, and it leads off the top of the second. Yeah, we saw a shot of Pete Woodworth there, Mariners pitching coach, and talking with Wu last year about his repertoire and his pitch selection, especially against lefties. Honestly, Ryan, and I'm curious your perspective on this as a former major league pitcher. He basically said that Pete Woodworth just made him believe and give him conviction that his secondary pitches were really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's one of the things that Pete does so well is he builds this confidence, and he clearly helped do that with Bryan Woo.
Yeah, he really does. And, we've talked about this a lot, with some of these guys, especially in the bullpen, who have come in, different organizations, haven't had the success. But I think it's a matter of, presenting to a guy like Bryan Woo. Obviously, he's still young in his career, but presenting to him and saying, look, here are the numbers. Here are some of the things that visually you can see to say, hey, listen, if you live in this spot, in this part of the strike zone, now when you hear that as a pitcher, like, all right, okay, I feel good about that. You trust it. And then you go off and work on it in those, mid-start bullpens.
Big chop off the plate, tough play. Dylan Moore from the shins. He had no play. Wilson is into first base, runs too well. So a swinging bunt from Jacob Wilson, and that puts 2 on with nobody out.
I'll tell you about the fastball usage. This is a sinking variety, and Jacob Wilson, he's got that plus speed. Really no chance.
Veteran infielder Gio Urshela batting with nobody out and 2 on. Drops a bunt down right back to Wu. 1 away. A little small ball here from the Athletics with the bottom half of their order, especially when you think about how hard of a time they have had scoring runs historically against Wu. Yeah, first 3 games, it's funny. You look at the runners in scoring position numbers for the A's. They did not have an at-bat with a runner in scoring position in game 1. So these numbers are just from the last 2 days. They're 7 for 15. And they've been very good in this department.
Yeah, a lot of those numbers, those opportunities really have come second, third time through later on in the game. Quite the opposite, as we know, 2 for 19 for the Seattle Mariners.
This is Johnny Peretta making his A's debut. He made his major league debut last year with the Marlins. He played in just 20 games. He was a 28-year-old rookie. He's backing up Langoliers this year. One out, second and third. Velo's jumped up just a tick here with a couple in scoring position, a couple of 96s from Wu. Falls behind 2-1. Big rip and a miss coming out of his shoes. Just challenged him right over the plate. Big pitch here from Bryan Woo, the 2-2. And he got him, chasing after a fastball, running away. The first strikeout this season for Bryan Woo.
I'll tell you what, Goldie, there's no bigger confidence boost when you can just blow 96. First of all, the pitch before this was middle, and this one just a little bit on the outer edge. You're in a big spot, and you see that big swing and miss 60 feet away. Feel good about it early in this game.
And now facing the number 9 hitter, Max Schumann. Soft pop up, and Solano cut of the grass, shallow right field. He makes the squeeze, and Bryan Woo gets out of the jam. He strands runners at second and third to keep the A's off the board. Have you heard that there's a J-Rod bobblehead?
I sure have.
Don't miss out on the bat flip J-Rod bobble. We're giving it away to the first 10,000 fans each of the next 3 games. Tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday. You can go to Mariners.com to pick up your seats as Garver pelts this out to Butler, who makes the catch. And a couple of loud outs that direction early on today for Mariners hitters. Garver squares it up, but he's out number 1.
And there's also a giant one out there in right center field, I believe. Which I'm taking home.
Still?
I believe so.
They're going to wait till nightfall to take that home. Here is Donovan Solano. He's at first base today. Lands another fastball for strike 2. Got some swirling winds here a little bit today. Wind blowing in, especially from left field, but a little bit out there where Garver hit that last ball. This is hanging up for Butler. 2 outs. Down to the field with Jen.
Yeah, we have seen the Mariners be aggressive on the base paths this opening series, and Eric Young Jr. is going to make sure it stays that way. Always looking for the 1 or 2 things that can help the runner. He is the new first base coach, and he's got a little bit of experience, guys. He was the National League stolen base leader in 2013, and he comes by it naturally. His dad led the National League in stolen bases in 1996.
Now, what an awesome baseball family. A lot of playing time in the big leagues between those two. Eric Young Jr. a decade in the show, and senior 15 years in the majors. Lands down on the outer edge. 0-2 to Dylan Moore quickly, but nothing but strikes so far this inning.
Yeah, it makes such a difference when you got a guy over there who's just got little telltale signs. Ryan Bliss talked about that with Luis Severino that first night, a guy who has a really good move to first base. He said, look, man, EY, Eric Young Jr., he goes, he's got me, man. He's giving me it all.
Does he go? He does not. Bottom of the zone, Sears is hopping off the mound. He thought that was a strike, and the EQC tracer shows that they're in the zone for a strike, just getting enough. But instead, a break for Dylan Moore, 2 balls and 2 strikes, trying to cash in on that here. And he works it full.
There's been heavy usage of that slider. We talked about if he's going to try and mimic Jeffrey Springs a couple nights ago with the changeup. We haven't seen the changeup yet. 50% of the time throwing a sweeper or a slider.
Puts them away with a fastball right over the plate. Second strikeout for JP Sears. Side sat down in order. Today's T-Mobile coverage cam. You can't see the wind here. It almost blew Hyphen's coffee over during the break. You all right over there?
I'm good. I'm good.
If it was full, it wouldn't be a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's Lawrence Butler.
Cup number 6. Dealing with Aaron Goldsmith next week.
A quick turnaround, too.
Happens.
That's right. That's called strike 1 to Lawrence Butler. Well located fastball, 0-2. Does he go? He does not. He's able to hold back.
Is that changeup? And we're talking about dipping into the secondary pitches just a little bit.
Checks his swing again. Last year, Brian Wu set a franchise record. It was the best ERA for a Mariner pitcher through his first 16 starts of a season. Now to Arozarena. He's nearing the chalk, fighting the sun and the wind a little bit. He makes the catch.
He looks like he's starting to get in rhythm now, Brian Wu. I think Yeah, going back to that first inning, it was so quick, only the 6 pitches, comes back out for the second. And look, first start here in T-Mobile for the 25 season. You know, a lot riding on your shoulders. You start to get a little bit wider vision as to what you want to accomplish this season. But, you know, when you get back into the present moment, all of a sudden now you're seeing 96s, 97s starting to move down the mound a little quicker, a little smoother.
Ball one to Brent Rooker.
On the attack just a little bit more, but you mentioned last season, Goldie, you know, getting off to the slower start, obviously being on the IL and then dominating once he got here. But if you remember, it was kind of like a bit of a bumpy road to begin with. You know, in between innings, he was talking about having that stiffness in his elbow.
Just gasses 96 right past him, 1-2.
You know, and he talked about how it was just slowly trying to get in that rhythm. And then Cal Raleigh, I remember having a conversation with him saying, hey, listen, man, you're dominating. We need you as this season gets going around the midway point.
Fouled right back to Cal's glove. 96 again from Bryan Woo, and he strikes out Brent Rooker for out number 2.
And then we just saw plenty of this down the stretch. It was good to see him pitching every 5th day. Not skipping any starts, not skipping any bullpens. And with that conviction too, man, when you're at 95 to 97, middle, upper part of the strike zone, you get swings and misses like that, you just get on the attack. And we're starting to see that now as we're 32 pitches in.
Here's Bleday. Yeah, if you look at the first 16 starts for Woo last year, good pitch there, but it's a ball. There's nobody fluky that he beat. Okay, it was Woo a 2.05 ERA through 16 starts last season, better than Felix, Iwakuma, Randy, and another season from Felix.
Yeah, some good company right there, man.
Last August, he had the best month of his career. It was pretty noteworthy too for a guy coming off Tommy John who's had some arm issues. He pitched into the 7th inning, all 6 starts last year in August. First time he'd ever pitched into the 7th inning before. This is lays past Dylan Moore. Bleday picks up a base hit as Arozarena knocks it down. Bleday hunts second. Here comes the throw. Bliss ready for it, but it's just far enough off the bag that Bleday is able to get in there with the slide safe.
Good base runner right there from JJ Bleday. Randy Arozarena, that ball bouncing around. Bleday didn't take his eyes off it. You know, usually it's kind of natural to slow up around first base. Charging in and getting that extra bag.
They rule it a double. Two outs and a man in scoring position for the cleanup hitter Andujar. Dots him up for strike 1. Go ahead run at second base. Really tied him up. You don't see too many checks like that from a big league hitter. 0-2.
And Duhart knows he's going to get a fastball elevated right here.
0-2 pitch. 3 straight heaters.
It's just tough to stay on that pitch. It just plays up so much.
Oh, what do you mean by that? Stay on it.
Well, I think, you know, the lower 3/4 arm slot, you talk about the approach angle from Bryan Woo. In other words, the way the ball approaches the hitter over the plate. And he's just so smooth down the mound. So it's just an explosive finish. And you think you're on it, and then you're behind it by a good 2 to 3 feet, 2 to 3 inches. And it's frustrating too, because you have that at bat. You'll pick up a 94, 95 early in the count, and then he just elevates literally, 2 to 3 inches, and man, you got no chance against that pitch, even when you know it's coming.
Another 0-2. He got him right after him with a 2-seamer running in on his knuckles at 95. Third strikeout for Bryan Woo. Ryan Bliss will be leading things off for the Mariners. J.P. Crawford And then back to the top of the order, Victor Robles. Today's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Seattle Mariners and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners. Ryan Bliss leads things off for the Mariners. No score, bottom of the third. Slow sweeper. Lands on the corner. 0-2. Bliss, a former second-round draft pick by the Diamondbacks. He played his college ball at Auburn. And spins around there a little bit. Whiffs on a slider. There is out number one. I mentioned it's a bit of a breezy day today. Mitch Garver, back in the second inning on the first pitch, flew out to right field. Under calm conditions, that's just over the wall, but the wind knocked it down and blew it in about 20 feet.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more weather data that affects the game, not just from a fly ball standpoint, but also from pitches too. The way it affects pitches. Even though it's only at a 6-foot distance, but I don't know. If you're Mitch Garver, do you want to see that? You want to know that? See that blue line, that pink line. Hold on a minute. This ball would have been out.
Are you saying that the wind today might affect just an average major league pitch?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're starting to dive more and more into that in regards to how it affects, you know, each and every pitch. And you think, well, man, these guys are throwing.
It's the call on that. Sears does.
Yeah, you see JP just having to call time, just rein in that frustration.
And it changes the count. Instead of 2-1, it's 1-2. And JP not happy as he walks back to the dugout.
Yeah, it changes the whole of that bat, that one pitch. Especially too, just from seeing that pitch too. You know he's going to throw a ton of breaking balls. We've seen that already. Over 50% breaking balls from JP Sears. And the lefty's going to face in the lineup, JP.
There's Victor Robles with 2 outs. It is interesting in recent years how many pitchers have, starting pitchers that is, have both a slider and a sweeper, so 2 different shapes on the same pitch.
Yeah, and
Sears certainly has that.
It used to be back in the day, it was like, oh, you throw a slider, it's more horizontal. You throw a breaking ball, it's more, you know, vertical. The guys are just honed in on, you mentioned it too, just different looks, different angles, different shapes. You get a 10 mile per hour, difference on the break. Now, some guys use the slower break ball essentially as their changeup.
Broken bat skimmer. Schumann there, and just in time to get Robles for out number 3. So the side sat down in order. Mariners no traffic since the first batter of the ball game. Ryan Wu up on the mound today. His first start of the season. His 3 strikeouts so far, Ryan.
Yeah, everything up in the strike zone, and again, predictable. A lot of them with fastballs. Obviously, the one with the sinker.
Tyler Soderstrom leads things off. He takes just beneath the knees for ball 1. If you go back to last season, Bryan Woo averaged the fewest pitches per inning. Let's call it 14. He's averaged 13 per inning so far today through 3 frames. And it really goes back to, you'd have to think, Hyphen, what you were talking about in the first inning as Soderstrom sails this out to left. Arozarena backing up, feeling for the wall, and it's gone. His 3rd home run this series. Tyler Soderstrom puts the A's in front with an opposite field blast. It's 1-0 Athletics.
And Soderstrom single-handedly has done some damage this series, especially with the long ball 3 now. It's the changeup. Back-to-back changeups from Bryan Woo. We talk about that fastball usage so much. This pitch just hanging up, and that's where he's done a lot of his damage up and in. But just the pitch, he's guessing right.
Well, that's the 7th home run this series for the Athletics as Wilson swings and misses. And to shift gears off of Woo for just a moment, you know, if you look at the A's last year, since the start of last season, no team has scored a higher percentage of their runs via the home run ball than the A's, as Wilson gets jammed and fouls it away. It's 0-2. I mean, they rely on the home run ball more than any other team. They hit the 8th most home runs overall in baseball last year, but the highest percentage of runs scored came on home runs for the Athletics since the start of last season, and they have leaned on the home run ball in this series. Another foul ball. And you know, you look at the Mariners in these 3 games so far, and they're 1-2, and we can talk about the Mariners' struggles with runners in scoring position, and those have been real. They're 2 for 19 over the first 3 games, but the bottom line is, in the first 3 games, of which the Mariners have lost 2, they've been out-homered 6-2.
Right.
And it's really hard to win the majority of games in 3 games if you get out-homered by 4 like that.
Absolutely. I think too, you know, look, the Athletics, we talk about the second half of their season last year in 2024, this young core of players, you know, from Butler, Rooker, Bleday. Now Soderstrom all of a sudden stepped onto the scene.
He flicks this into right field. Robles sizes it up, and makes the catch.
But they put themselves up there in some big offensive categories in that second half in 2024. It was a different story the way they started the year off. You see all that drama they were dealing with leaving Oakland, relocating. If they're going to have a stadium in Las Vegas, end up settling for Sacramento for the next couple of years.
Strike one to Urshela. That's only the second home run that Wu has ever given up to the A's. This is his 7th career start. Another fastball over the plate, fouled back. Wu really grew up a San Francisco Giants fan, but he was born in Oakland. Grew up really just down the street from the Coliseum, not far away at all. Ground ball flattens out for J.P. Crawford. 2 down. Well, Mariners baseball is back, and it's not too late to become a season ticket member. Check out a flex plan, and you can choose your games and seats as you go while still enjoying perks like saving 10% or more on tickets with no fees. You can join the team at mariners.com/flex. A great day to bring the whole family to the ballpark. A Little League day. Swing and a miss to Pareda.
You ever have a Little League day growing up? Cardinals?
Never had
Really?
a Little League walk around the warning track before the game.
That's awesome.
The ballpark is hopping in the early hours here on Little League days. Oh no! Well, we drop what do we do? We drop some ice cream.
You drop something, that's for sure.
Well, hers is gone. She's not messing around. That's how you do it right there. Yeah, hey, take some notes, kid. 2-1. She's a pro.
After our brother and sister.
Oh, let's give it some time.
He's all right.
Hopefully Dad can help make things better. Maybe it was the home run. Who knows? 2-2. Well, not a surprise. A ton of fastballs so far today from Bryan Woo. Almost close to 80% actually. There's another one. And we talked about how last year he set the all-time record for first pitch strikes. It's tough to do that if you don't throw a lot of fastballs, right?
Yeah, oh, for sure. Absolutely. And again, looking at this game, the one mistake really was off a changeup. Back-to-back changeup to Soderstrom. Again, I think that's what makes some of the secondary pitches, which is still dominant too. It's not like he's just fastball heavy because he doesn't have anything in the back pocket. They're still dominant, but I think what makes him so dominant is because you simply have to protect a fastball that just looks different at the top of the strike zone.
3-2. Locked him up. Froze him at 95. 4th strikeout for Bryan Woo. The A's strike first. Soderstrom's opposite field homer. When we come back, big bats due up. Julio Rodriguez will begin things for the Mariners at the bottom of the 4th. MLB opening week is brought to you by PNC Bank. Beautiful day for baseball here in Seattle. Roof wide open. Final game of the series. Mariners and the A's. Julio leading things off. Now Victor Robles began this game with a swinging bunt infield base hit. Since then, it's been 9 in a row sat down by J.P. Sears with 4 strikeouts.
And throwing that pitch right there, the 2 breaking balls, 60% breaking balls last year. 2 of them combined only around 33, 34%.
Ground ball to Wilson at shortstop. Has to hurry the throw, and he gets it there in time to nab Julio for round number 1. Well, get free MLB TV with T-Mobile. Redeem today at T-Mobile.com/MLB. In other words, some really differing styles.
Yeah.
You got one guy with a ton of breaking balls and the other throwing almost nothing but heaters.
Yeah, for sure. And for J.P. Sears, a couple changes he made this spring training. Number 1, he brought back the windup, pitched primarily out of the stretch. Wanted to create more rhythm. Help with his efficiency. It takes a little more stress off your body too when you got that rhythm in a windup. A lot of starters have it. A lot of bullpen guys do not with those shorter stints. And the other part too, and we've seen it today, that little backdoor breaking ball.
Broken bat line drive, and it's past Wilson into left field. And Cal Raleigh's first hit of the season comes here in the 4th inning with 1 out.
And again, as you start getting through this lineup, 2nd, 3rd time, you know about the breaking ball, and you can live in a spot too. We talked about that little backdoor breaking ball. You see Paredes set up away. He wants to pair it with that fastball right there, so you can start looking out over the plate. More often than not, good piece of hitting right there from Cal.
Rosarena takes inside for ball 1.
And that doesn't mean you're going to shoot the ball to right field. It just means you see something out over the plate, you can sort of dive it out over the plate into this pitch. Paredes just setting up away.
This is roped down the line, but foul. We got it? We got it. All right. Even got the show shades to go along with it.
Are they called the pit bosses? I think they're called.
Was that right? Is
I
that what you
believe
have?
so.
Yeah, you're acting like you don't really know.
They're sitting right over here.
The center field. This is carrying well at the wall. Bleday with just enough room. Allowed out number 2.
Wow, you saw that ball from Soderstrom into left field. You feel like the wind's affecting the ball in a positive direction to left field, then center field to right field is kind of knocking it down. Looks like it was going to carry out of here.
Two outs. Cal Raleigh at first base. Here's Mitch Garver. There's that backdoor breaking ball for a strike. Well, I told you earlier, Garver's fly ball to right field was knocked down by 20 feet. That fly ball from Rosarena, 28 feet. Nevertheless, both teams have to play in it. 1 ball to 1 strike.
It's amazing too what different ballparks can do to create wind tunnels.
Well, there's no doubt when the roof is close at T-Mobile Park, the wind is cut down significantly.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about that after that 2nd inning. Mitch Garver hitting the ball to right field. You don't want to walk back down the tunnel and someone say, hey, Check out this wind assistance right here.
Garver down the line, but pulled foul. Now, when Garver's at his best, he is a pull hitter. Pulled fly balls his specialty. Two outs, Cal Raleigh at first base. Two. It is wild when you look at Garver's career, the every other year effect.
Yeah.
Every other year he has been incredible, and in the other years he has really struggled, like last year.
Right. Yeah, he expressed that disappointment last year as well. Kind of a lot of the expectations signing that deal, coming over as a free agent.
Signed a 2-year deal last year.
Spoiling that breaking ball again. Get that feeling you're going to see nothing but here at the end of this at bat. 3-2 count. He looked good in spring training though, which is a good sign. Even just walking around too, you know, like he just seemed like he had that a different energy about him.
I've seen just one fastball this at bat. This will be the 7th pitch. It's another breaking ball, and it froze him. That backdoor slider. Another strikeout for J.P. Sears. The Mariners just have had nothing going so far through 4 innings. Bryan Woo, first time up on the mound this year. Pitching the final game of this series, he faces Max Schumann, number 9 batter. Only run so far, the Tyler Soderstrom home run back in the 4th inning. Max Muncy getting the day off. He's played the last 3 games at second base for the A's. A's are without their normal second baseman Zach Geloff, who we've seen the last couple of years. Part of the real future of this organization. Geloff broke his hamate bone in spring training, so he's going to be out for a little while. Rattled foul at the plate. Schumann having to walk that one off a little bit. Now the run allowed on the Soderstrom home run, just the third run that the A's have ever scored off of Wu. Today is 7th career start.
Next time we see this team will be in Sacramento, AAA ballpark.
They will be there for the next 3 years until their ballpark in Vegas is built. They're hoping to break ground on that in June. So they have put a new video board in the ballpark in Sacramento. They have installed a 2-story clubhouse somewhere near left field, I'm told, for the A's. It doesn't sound like the visiting clubhouse will be great. Here's the 1-2. The tricky thing about this ballpark is it's obviously being used by someone else. It's
right.
The AAA home for the Giants. So you will have, imagine being the grounds crew.
Oh, man.
Not just for a month or a year, but for 3 years. You have essentially a game almost every night.
Yeah, and that was the part I couldn't get my head around. The fact you're sharing it with.
Swing and a miss on a fastball up and in from Wu. That's his 5th punch out.
Yeah, good fastball right there again. He's bread and butter, 95 top part of the strike zone after throwing a bunch of sinkers. But that was the part I couldn't get my head around. That the fact that you're sharing it with a team that's playing essentially 140
yes
games, half of them essentially at home, but they're going to stagger that schedule a little bit differently. And the other part too, you mentioned the clubhouse. I remember I've played in Sacramento.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry, Hyphen.
No, you're fine.
As a pitcher, you understand. That's
yeah.
a big miss right
That is.
there. That's a big miss. Wow. That might be the miss of the year so far in baseball. Butler skies this out to left to Rosarena, looking up into the sun. I'm sorry, Hyphen, you were saying.
Yeah, but and also the clubhouse. Now, the clubhouse, home and away, used to be out in left field. And so I was asking Jenny Cavnar and Dallas Braden, they've made some massive upgrades in regards to the facilities. The
New lights.
Yeah, new lights. Yeah, that's right. And all this, but I'm still trying to get my head around. Okay, so you go from the dugout. Is there like some sort of tunnel you can get to?
The players have to dig a tunnel.
Yeah.
It's the first. It's the first thing they'll do when they show up in Sacramento. It might take some time. I mean, it feels like it's going to be a very spring training-esque, right? Where the players walk onto the field. And, I mean, if you get ejected, it's the walk of shame.
Absolutely.
Back to the clubhouse.
That's where I was going with it. It's like if you have to get back to the clubhouse, and there's plenty of times during the game, especially as a starting pitcher, the days you're not pitching. You see the Sacramento badge there on the right sleeve.
Thumped out to center. Julio having to give a lot of ground. He's slowing up. He's at the wall just in front, and he has room for out number 3. Rooker allowed out, but a 1-2-3 inning spun by Bryan Woo. Mariners baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by PNC Bank, your MLB opening week presenting sponsor. Brilliantly boring since 1865. By your local Ford dealer, home of the F-150, America's best-selling truck for 48 years. And by Emerald Queen Casino. Laugh your heart out with Ralph Barbosa and Renee Vaca on April 6th at the Emerald Queen Casino. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. Here's Solano. Mariners just 2 hits over the first 4 innings off of Sears. He's struck out 5 and has not walked a batter.
Yeah, doing it much differently to his other left-handed counterpart in the rotation, Jeffrey Springs. Nothing but fastballs, changeups down and away.
Solano ahead here.
And it gets to a point too once you get second, third time through, and you start to get a good look at JP Sears. When you're looking at 60% breaking balls, start to sit on that pitch. Easier said than done, yes, but look down and away and get that breaking ball.
Fastball up and away. That's the 6th strikeout for Sears.
And then you start to see that too. You see him come in with that fastball, lower 90s. It's not going to blow it by you, but pitching in just a little bit more, and then finishing off Solano right here with that 3-2 fastball up in the strike, up and out of the strike zone.
Called a strike. Dylan Moore batting. Mariners looking for their first extra base hit in this game today. Simply looking for some traffic for that, actually. Boy, that has been the go-to today, hasn't it?
Really has. More fastballs this inning, but that pitch right there, you saw Mitch Garver freeze on that pitch in the 4th inning.
I mean, is there much that, as a hitter, you can do with that backdoor sweeper that just barely clips the edge?
I think that, you know, when you look at that pitch and you hear, a lot of people say, "Oh, just shoot that ball into right field." Way easier said than done. You don't want to all of a sudden change swing path to try and match what the pitch is throwing you. But you can dive out over the plate just a little bit more and get extended. You know what? Drive that ball back up the middle if need be, but just sit on that pitch just a little bit more, and you can see what he's doing right now, changing the pattern. This is what you do if you're a lefty like JP Sears. I'd live like this too, where you start adjusting that repertoire and you start pitching more off the fastball second, third time through if you're throwing a bunch of breaking balls in the early innings.
Our T-Mobile coverage cam now with 2 outs. Here is Ryan Bliss. He thinks about a bunt, pulls it back on a pitch high. Fights this one off. Fouled away, 1-1. Urshela has it at third. And the side sat down in order. Once again here in the 5th inning. Mariners just 2 hits over 5.
His Dippin' Dots, Aaron. It's exactly what you thought. Even worse than ice cream, because Dippin' Dots are way better. Owen is at his very first Mariners game, and the Mariners sent down some swag. So there's a smile on his face. He's got a JP bobblehead, JP Crawford bobblehead, some sunglasses, and arm sleeve. And I think for the time being, we're okay with the smile.
Boy, in much better shape right now. You have the JP Trident bobble from last year.
Yeah, you got the little Trident. Now, okay, so I know what I need to do. If I want something around here, just burst into tears. Like, get nice little bobbleheads.
Drop your food first.
Yes, drop my Dippin' Dots. Good for him.
Bleday flies out to left. In steps Andujar.
Bryan Woo, that pitch count in good shape. 70 pitches here in the 6th inning.
It's funny, you know, we've talked a couple of times about how efficient he has been historically and how much he's in the strike zone. So teams get very aggressive with him and swing away, because really last year there was almost no pitcher that was in the strike zone more than Woo. It was really George Kirby and Bryan Woo among the very best in baseball in that regard. But it can work against you in situations now like this. You're beginning the 6th inning, and his pitch count is in terrific shape because they have been so aggressive.
Yeah, and I think too, you know, one thing that we tend to, I'm not going to say forget about with Bryan Woo, but is the command too. I mean, the reason you can, you know, be that efficient. I mean, the walk rate 2.8, which by the way, we talk about George Kirby's command. That's better than George Kirby, 2.8%.
Yes.
Walk rate. I mean, that's getting it done. Obviously, it helps when you first pitch strike all day long.
Well, I mean, it all comes down to the fact that he throws over 70% fastball, and he can get away with that, right?
Yeah,
if that didn't exist, all of these other things we're talking about, we're not talking about.
Right, and yeah, 100%. Yeah, and again, all the, you know, you hear the buzzwords, conviction, everything else is he. Second walk of the day, which again is rare. We talk about that walk rate, right on cue actually. He only did that twice last year with 2 walks against the Angels and the Dodgers. But you're right, Aaron. If you feel that good about that one pitch, and it's obviously a fastball too, that you're so confident that you can look 60 feet down and say, you know what, I'm going to throw this middle up, and you're not going to do a whole lot. It's going to be soft contact at best. Then you can just be on that attack, and you're going to end up in good counts.
Soderstrom's had a good day, a walk and a home run. One out, one on, 1-0 Athletics in the 6th inning. For Soderstrom, he hit a couple of home runs on opening day for the Athletics, his first multi-homer game of his career. He's used all fields for 3 home runs now in these 4 games.
Yeah, that opening.
Snap. Wu slings to Crawford. Under first for the double play. That nearly took Wu's glove off.
That doesn't hurt either, Aaron, when you can make that play.
T-Mobile coverage cam, a good look at this double play started by Bryan Woo.
Yeah, nice play. Just kind of set those feet again. With talked about this a couple times in this series. The PFP's fresh off his spring training, but he is so athletic on the mound and just trying to get done saying that helps that pitch count efficiency when you can make a play like that.
Both starters have been on point in this one. 1-0 Athletics. On the ground, taking it first base. Soderstrom handles it. 1 away. Root Sports Stream is the new app that lets in-market fans stream Mariners games for just $19.99 a month or free for participating cable and satellite customers. Start streaming now. You can visit mariners.com/stream. This will be the 3rd time through the order for J.P. Sears. He's made pretty quick work of the Mariners so far. Just 2 hits, both singles. 1 stayed on the infield. He has struck out 7, has not walked a batter. And the Mariners have not had an at-bat with a runner in scoring position. They have not moved a runner past first base. Just missing up. Count evens. Mariners would love to have Robles aboard here in the 6th inning. Three-two. Ground ball. Will it sneak through? Wilson snaps it, throws, and it's not in time. An infield base hit for Victor Robles. Second of its kind today for Victor.
Get some speed on the bases, get something moving with this offense. Talked about all the base runners the first couple games in this series. Really nothing doing. Need something to happen. Victor Robles got that plus speed. Jacob Wilson looking like his dad, playing shortstop right there. Jack Wilson, former teammate of mine, came over in a trade in 2009 from the Pirates.
There goes Victor. Julio skies this to left field. Lift off Julio! All the way up top, and the Mariners have taken the lead.
Aaron, we talked about sitting on that slider. At some point, you have to break through. Gets the slider up in the strike zone. We talked about the wind affecting some of these fly balls. They had anything to do with that 113 mile per hour exit velo off the bat.
First home run of the year for Julio. Puts the Mariners in front.
That ball was crushed. Sitting on that slider.
Wilson on the cut of the grass. Strong throw.
Again, we've been seeing plenty of this, that breaking ball. This one just hanging. See Pereira trying to get him down and in. Man, absolute no doubter. Stand there and admire that one. Upper deck.
Way up there in the
Way
upper
up
deck.
there. I didn't realize it got that high up. That man absolutely loves it.
Quick one skipper over to second base, Schumann. Randy's hit the ball hard in this series, doesn't have a whole lot to show for it. Mariners have taken the lead thanks to Julio's first home run this year, 2-1, moving to the seventh. Mariners baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the Washington Traffic Safety Commission. Always drive sober and wear your seatbelt. We all play a role in keeping our roads safe. And by T-Mobile, with America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile is your ticket to the game. Bryan Woo is done after 6 very strong innings to begin his season.
Yeah, really strong and really efficient too. We've said that word a few times today. You see the 6th innings, only 76 pitches, cruise through this game. Just the one mistake to Soderstrom and get him out of there.
That leads us to our Beacon Plumbing call to the pen. Gregory Santos is on in the 7th.
Yeah, so Gregory Santos a couple nights ago in a kind of a different role. Team was behind a little bit. I think that's, you know, the plan with him, get a couple games, and then he's going to be in these higher leverage spots. You know, projecting him to be that 8th inning setup guy for Andres Munoz.
Well, he is more stuff over command. Get a little wild. Did not see much of him at all last year. 2 lengthy stints on the injured list, especially to begin the year with a lat issue. But it's big stuff. A big fastball and slider. He's got a pocket of right-handers here in the bottom of the order to work to. Off the hands. Crawford by the bag. 1 away. And you see the fastball for Santos and you automatically kind of think, well, this is going to be a big strikeout kind of pitcher, but really that 2-seamer gets a lot of ground balls. That's been a big part of his arsenal. Here is Urshela with 1 away. That got a piece of cow. That was a 93-mile-an-hour slider, by the way.
Yeah, I think he can. You mentioned that fastball. Look, use that weapon as a ground ball pitch, and then try and get that swing and miss. But I think the big swing and miss, which is going to come for Gregory Santos, and I say this because he felt like he was just on the cusp, right? We talk about him as if he's been, you know, really a fixture of a guy's had a ton of success, but he was really only still coming up with the White Sox.
Agree. To
be in that big, you know, high leverage role. And I think what's going to get him the most swings and misses is going to be that slider of his. Once he can harness that pitch. But you're right, Aaron. He's got so much movement on that fastball plus velocity.
Well, there's the sinker again. He gets another ground ball. 2 up and 2 down. Here was Pareda, the catcher. Kind of half-hearted check swing, tried to hold up. You know, if you're Dan Wilson right now and your bullpen, you've got some injuries there. Troy Taylor, Matt Brash. Fortunately, by the way, both were in the clubhouse today. Sounds like a rehab assignment is on the horizon, especially for Troy Taylor. Brash they expect back at some point in mid to late April. Well, the question for Dan Wilson is how do you get the ball to Munoz in the meantime? Watch out, man, 100 visor high. He is more stuff over command right now.
Yeah, and you see Pareda kind of glancing back at Santos, maybe just trying to lock in eye contact just to say, hey, any chance. You can see Santos trying to tap in his chest. Yeah, you mentioned the command. It can get a little spotty, fire a couple off the backstop. Ooh, you snap that thing off.
He goes around, and it's 1 and 2. Broken back ground ball. Dylan Moore, busy man. 10-pitch inning, and that sinking fastball doing a lot of good for Santos in the 7th. Mariners maintain the lead. It's time to stretch. We'll keep it right here for God Bless America.
Before singing Take Me Out to the Ballgame on this Sunday, we ask you to please rise and direct your attention to the area behind home plate to sing God Bless America. Please welcome Teresa Lynn.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America,
Play Mariners scratch from Washington's lottery, and you can be out of here with a trip to spring training next year in sunny Arizona. Play today. A good look at the Trident deck, upper level by the left field foul pole. Great place to take in a game, especially on a sunny day like this. Garver, chopper up the middle. Schumann on the other side of second makes the play.
You see JP Sears still out there, 78 pitches. Not saying that's surprised by that at all. It's just, you know, with Brian Wu too, just looking back at that outing, you know, 6 innings, 76 pitches, really no high stress innings for him. But you know, if you're questioning in regards to, you know, why take him out of the game, I think that, you know, this happened a couple times last year. I remember talking to Pete Woodworth about this, and they kind of picked their moments to, you know, cut down on the pitch count. But I think with Brian Wu, this is essentially going to be the first time they're going to target that 6 months of pitching, a full season, 30+ starts. So if you have a situation, and again, when you're that efficient, whether you be Brian Wu or Bryce Miller, even I'll throw Emerson Hancock in there as well, young pitchers, and you can get some good efficiency, and you're talking mid-70s in that pitch count and get through 6. You know, wrap it up, especially first start of the year. Make sure you can get them through a full season of baseball.
Now, keeping him healthy is so critical. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Solano. The A's do have a right-hander warming up in their bullpen.
I say that about those 3. I mean, look, Logan Gilbert, sure. I mean, there would be pockets there where you maybe back off a little bit, but he's essentially established himself to show that he can go, you know, 200 innings, 32 starts, no problem. You know, they monitor the recovery in between starts. Matter of fact, Aaron, you and I had a discussion with the training staff talking about that, how much they monitor now these guys each and every day. Make sure they're recovering right, be ready for that next start, and get them through a long season of baseball.
And part of the way they monitor it is by testing the player's grip strength.
Yeah, how about that? I was kind of shocked when I heard that.
Or if I'm remembering correctly, we talked with Rob Scheidegger, who oversees all things health and wellness for the Mariners, head trainer. For the starting pitchers, basically after every start, and for the position players, it sounded like a few times a month, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
And there have been studies to show the correlation between grip strength and really hitting. You can maybe speak more to the pitching side of things.
Well, yeah, I'll be honest. There was times, you know, throughout my career, and again, yeah, I put these guys in a different category and different generation, or different era. That's for sure. I mean, it's been a while, but you know, any time that we were sort of examined during the season, sometimes I'd shy away from that because I didn't want to show that if I was fading or if I was a little weaker, because I didn't want it to tip off the training staff that something was going on and it could cost me a spot in the rotation. But yeah, and these guys, one of the parts that Rob was talking about was the honesty too, and the transparency from each other to communicate the right way. Because there was times, Aaron, where I was the day after, man, I could barely pick up a baseball, but I wasn't going to say a word. I didn't want it to affect, you know, anything that was happening, especially if I was struggling at any point. But yeah, the grip strength was really interesting.
Still 2-2 on Solano.
The other part too is like, I don't really want to, you know, grip that thing too hard and throw something off at the elbow. Especially the day after a start, man. You're tired. You barely play catch the next day.
Broken bat pop up on the infield. Wilson right there, young shorts. Oh boy, wow, that was a close one. Schumann makes the catch. There's out number 2. Oh, the J-Rod squad presented by Adidas is back for this season. You can grab main level seats in center field for any game, and on Tuesdays and Fridays score your own No Fly Zone t-shirt. Mariners.com/JRod to get your tickets. Two outs, nobody on. Mariners by a run in the home 7th. And we mentioned how will Dan get the ball to Munoz. Trent Thornton is warming up. Thornton pitched on opening day. He's been off the last 2 days. If you go back to last September, This was a typical role for Colin Snyder. He kind of became the 8th inning man for the Mariners. It was Snyder and Troy Taylor on the IL who were getting the ball to Munoz. Snyder pitched last night. It was his first appearance of the season. He threw 18 pitches. And you wonder how much the Mariners are trying to avoid back-to-backs for some guys. Now Bizzardo has pitched in back-to-back games. But just because Bizzardo has doesn't mean that everyone will. Right. Looks like he got in on him a little bit. Fly ball, Bermuda Triangle, and it drops in for a base hit. Dylan Moore has a parachute single just beyond the grasp of Lawrence Butler. Now, Butler's had a few of those just awfully close calls. Sliding for fly balls out there in right field that he hasn't been able to make the catch on.
And you know how much range he has. Extremely athletic center fielder, that's for sure. But this ball just kind of hanging up. Maybe took a step back.
Well, Kotsay was going to give Sears a chance to go a full 7, but if anybody reached base, he was going to the pin, and that's what's happening here. So a 2-out single. Sterner is coming on. Sears very effective in 6 2/3. We've got a pitching change. Today's Muckleshoot Casino Resort Pin Report. Gabe Spire. Well, we know how dominant he was that breakout season 2 years ago. He was the master of the first pitch strike. The walks really went up last year. Did not have the same velocity or command. He sure looks more like the 2023 version early on this year.
Yeah, he really does. See that 69 games pitched, huge workload, nowhere near that his time with the Kansas City Royals. But you get that velocity up just a little bit. Start attacking the strike zone more. I guarantee you, like you said, Aaron, close to that 2023 version.
Justin Sterner is on the mound facing Ryan Bliss. Dylan Moore takes off. Here's the throw. A tag. What a tag at second base by Schumann. He dropped that like a Steinway right on top of Dylan Moore. He's ruled out. Dan Wilson wants to see if this should be challenged, and they will not. In real time, it didn't look like the throw would necessarily be there in time, and the tag just got on Dylan Moore's number before he reached the bag. It's on to the 8th. It's a 1-run game. Mariners in front at T-Mobile Park. Once this one's over, we'll have Mariners postgame presented by Emerald Queen Casino. Mariners need a win to split this series. Now some changes. Trent Thornton has taken over. He's facing a pinch hitter. Seth Brown bats for Schumann. Kotsay calls on a lefty hitter who has hit righties well historically, at least for power.
Yeah, you see the solid numbers from Trent Thornton, 3.61. But what about the month of September? 0.77 ERA. Opponents hitting 103 against him. Especially after having a rough trot there around July. Had only a 7. He was really struggling. Turned around August and September. 71 games pitched. That's top 20 in Major League Baseball.
Well, here's the issue you have this inning. Top of the 8th, it's a 1-run game. You have the top of the order next. That means Lawrence Butler and more specifically Brent Rooker. Obviously, they are trying to stay away from Colin Snyder, who pitched last night. They're trying to avoid a back-to-back with him this early in the season. I say obviously, maybe there's something they like about Thornton, how he matches up with these three. But my bigger question is, this is a chance that you could also put Munoz in here, your best reliever, to face their best hitters in a 1-run game in the 8th inning,
as opposed to the 9th you're talking about.
As opposed to the 9th. Now, if Thornton retired the side in order, you're still facing batters 3, 4, and 5 in the 9th inning, so that's no walk in the park. But you are, without question, facing their most dangerous hitter, that man, in this inning, Brent Rooker. 3-2. He walked him. That's the last thing you wanted. Ryan Wu got the start today, and he continues a historic march against the Oakland A's. Lowest earned run average in a pitcher's first 7 starts versus an opponent. He's an 0.72, and he's in the conversation with a lot of eras here, going way, way back. Swing and a miss to Butler. Nothing in 1.
You mentioned, those numbers too. I mean, look what he's done against Brent Rooker, coming into this game. 0.91 against him, just a 1 home run, 1 for 11. Butler is 1 for 10, just nothing doing, 4 punch outs.
Swing and a miss, up and in, 0-2.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. I'm thinking more about it now. You mentioned Andres Munoz about picking the highest leverage. We saw that a couple of years ago. It was more of a bullpen by committee, picking those.
Right after him with the heater. There is out number 1.
Picking those big leverage spots for the certain guys in the bullpen. But look, Trent Thornton. And again, look, I know September was a long time ago, but just his repertoire changed all of a sudden. That slider usage went through the roof, this time a fastball. So if you're these these Athletics hitters, have that slider in the back of your mind.
This looks playable out to center. Rooker goes after the first pitch. Julio is underneath it, and a big bat is retired right away. Good on Trent Thornton.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you go fastballs and you're stuck in the middle. Your timing's off. With a couple big outs, Aaron, especially after walking that leadoff hitter.
Here's Bleday. He's been aboard twice, reaching on an error and a double. Tying run at first, go ahead at the plate here in the 8th inning. Bleday last year, 6th most doubles in the majors. He has historically been a very good fastball hitter. In other words, maybe there's a reason why Trent Thornton's thrown him 2 curveballs to begin the at-bat. Ball's behind 2-0. There's a heater at the knees, 2-1. Just missing, and Thornton falls behind 3 balls and a strike. And Duhar is the man on deck. Ground ball to Bliss. Short throw, and Trent Thornton does it. He's fired up. He goes through the big bats in this A's order, and he keeps them off the board and preserves a 1-run lead for the Mariners. Today's Northwest Chevy Silverado drive of the game. First home run of the season from Julio. A go-ahead 2-run home run midway up the second deck.
That was a monster blast, but off that slider too, JP Sears. That one pitch was handcuffing the Mariners. I guess right. Got a cement mixer and 2-run bomb.
Called a strike. 0-2 on Bliss beginning the bottom of the 8th inning. Mariners would love to get a little add-on here for Andres Munoz. Beginning to warm up. Fastball on the top rail. Bliss goes down swinging. 1 away. Registration for the Mariners Kids Club is 100% free. This season, Kids Club members will score an exclusive bucket hat, early gate access to select games, special discounts, and much more. You can scan this QR code on the screen or go to mariners.com/kidsclub. Strike 1 to J.P. Crawford. Two and 2 on JP. Mariners have not gotten much going offensively today. They have just 2 runs on 5 hits without drawing a walk, but they're hoping that that might be enough. Certainly would like to get a little bit more here in the 8th inning, but that Julio home run has put them in front.
Struggles early offensively, but it's a lot easier to digest and finish the series if the score stays the way it is.
JP out to right center. Lawrence Butler into the gap. Blade as well, and they both kind of collide. It's Blade who makes the catch. Man, is this just kind of like early season stuff that we're seeing? It's both sides.
Well, usually, yeah, you're right. It is both sides. And usually coming out of spring training, this is stuff you work on. I was joking about it with the PFPs early in this game, but man, we saw Jacob Wilson and Schumann nearly collide, and out here in right center field.
Glad they are all right. Our PNC Bank slow-mo moments. Mariners dropped a pop-up on the infield last night. And some miscommunication. 0-1 to Victor Robles. 2 outs. Julio on deck if Robles can reach.
You want to start seeing some kind of shift or uptick in offense, especially you got the Detroit Tigers coming into town. Jackson Jobe, you got Tarek Skubal pitching that last game.
Some big arms on their way here as Robles goes down swinging. No wiggle room for Andres Munoz. On to save this one, close it down, protecting a 1-run lead. Mariners baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Virginia Mason Franciscan Health. Make a play for your health with the Mariners' trusted sports medicine provider. Find a doctor today at vmfh.org/Mariners. And by Steel. To find your local Steel dealers, visit steeldealers.com. Beautiful day here in Seattle. Mariners 3 outs away from splitting this 4-game series. All-star closer Andres Munoz up on the mound, facing Andujar. Up and in at 97 for ball 1.
They saw him on that first night. Andres Munoz, the command was a little sketchy. Trying to keep that fastball inside the strike zone.
Whiffs on that slider, 1-1.
Get to that pitch right there. That pitch is filthy. We talk about the plus velocity hitting triple digits as that out of that sinker last year as well. 50% of the time getting that slider over as well. There you go.
1-2. Munoz facing 4, 5, and 6 in the order. The 1-2. He got him. Nasty slider. Pins it in the lower outside corner. There's out number 1.
Yeah, it's just unfair. You got that fastball that was down and away, and the same time. Now the pitch before this, he kind of left that pitch out over the middle of the plate. Maybe trying to do a little bit too much. That ball kind of spun out the side of his hand. This time, took that extra breath, stayed on top of that pitch, and man, there is nothing you can do with that.
Here's Tyler Soderstrom having a fantastic opening series. He's homered 3 times. Been on base twice today. Well, that could have been a strike. 2-0 instead.
Catching the black on the EQC Tracer, 99.
A rare 3-0 count from Munoz.
You got to be careful right here. Soderstrom's been aggressive with pitches out over the middle of the plate.
He shoots this to the alleyway. Randy cuts it off, and he was thinking about going to second, but Rosarena able to hold Soderstrom to a single, so he's aboard for the 3rd time, and the tying run is at first base.
And when you're swinging it the way Soderstrom's swinging it, you know you get the green light all day long on 3-0. Just a fastball 100. Hits that ball in the left field, showing that. Obviously the power left field home run early today.
And he has really hit the ball hard and hit the ball well.
Good job there, keeping him out of scoring position.
Triple digit strike 1 to Jacob Wilson. He's up in the order today. We've seen him bat 9th the first 3 games. Batting in the 6th spot today. Tying run aboard, 1 out, top of the 9th. Ground ball. Who's got it? JP slings. Bliss keeps his foot on the bag there for 1. They swap runners at first base. 2 outs.
This is a good job from JP as well. You see this where Dylan Moore just kind of gives up on that, kind of ghosts it right in front of the play, but just get that lead runner.
A's down to their final out. Max Muncy appearing. He's a pinch runner for Wilson. T-Mobile Park on its feet. 1 out away from a series split. Facing the veteran Urshela. Going after the first pitch. Triple digits again from Munoz. Oh, 1. Makes it 0-2.
That slider is tight today. Good arm speed on that. And you got 2 options. You can go 100 top of the strike zone. You can expand right here with that slider down and away.
The 0-2 from Munoz. And trying to expand 1-2.
I think you go back to that pitch. Get that chase.
Here it comes. He does exactly that. Filth from Munoz. He slams the door in the 9th. And the Mariners win this one 2-1. They split the opening series of the season.
Best slider of the day right there from Munoz to finish off the Athletics and split this series, but just enough. We know about some of the offensive struggles. Yes, it's early, but that man right there in the middle, Julio Rodriguez, putting him on the board late. 2-run absolute bomb up there in the upper deck, up above Edgars. So a good way to finish this. Take on the Detroit Tigers tomorrow.
Now the Mariners got just enough offensively today. It was great to see Julio check in with his first home run of the season. Cal, his first hit of the year. And Bryan Woo spectacular today, picking up exactly where he left off last season and dominating a team that he has remarkable history against. The A's are sick and tired of seeing him already.
Yeah, he was so efficient. 6 innings. He could have gone 7, yes. But hey, you know what? Pick your spots when you can limit him just a little bit. You know, it's going to be, you're trying to get 30-plus starts. But I think the biggest takeaway here was, look, you're down, your energy's low in that dugout, and then all of a sudden your guy who gets the energy up with this team, Julio Rodriguez, goes deep. All of a sudden you walk away with a W 2-1.
Speaking of Julio, here he is with Jen.
Julio Rodriguez launches his first home run of the season. It was a no-doubter. Julio, does that feeling ever get old?
I mean, that's the best feeling in the world to be able to score a ball like that. But it was definitely great. It came in a great time for the game, and I'm happy that we were able to get the win today.
We were just talking about the wind and how it played. Was it easier to go pull side than it was opposite field like you did in the first?
Definitely. We hit a lot of balls like center field, right center field. That didn't go out. That should have gone out, but definitely play better on this side.
It is the first time that you have collected an extra base hit off of Sears in your career. Do you have any idea why it was different? It's a little brisk on a day like today, isn't it?
I let my guard down.
You should never do that when Victor Robles is around. But let's get back to the question. It was the first time that you've gotten an extra base hit off of Sears. What was it that made it a tough at-bat, and how'd you break through?
I mean, obviously, he always pitched good against us, but, you know, everybody's due for one day.
Okay, here's another number that you might not believe. Bryan Woo has made 7 starts against the A's. Do you know that the Mariners are 7-0 in those starts? How do you explain it?
I mean, he's an awesome guy, you know. Like, he was pitching so well today, so I was just really happy that to be able to contribute to him. But like, every time he steps on the mound, every time he gives you a chance for us. So it's awesome, man. He's so good.
Ooh, that wind is going to make you awfully cold. Go inside, warm up, and celebrate this win, Julio. The Mariners get the split against the A's. Julio comes up big. It is a nail-biter for sure. It's also a 2-1 win. We'll have reaction from inside the clubhouse and highlights when we come back.